Meeting to order. This is the Berlin Cemetery Commission on the 20th of September 2022. And take some notes if you would, please. Okay. I can't. Anyone participating in the meeting needs to be aware that we're subject to being recorded. We are recording the meeting so that it's available to the public. And at this point, I'm not sure. I don't think that, I'm beginning to think Brenna's not going to be here today. I haven't talked to her recently, so I'm not positive whether she was thinking of it. But she hasn't answered phone calls that I've tried today, so. We're open for our regular meeting, and we'll take up our business that we need to do. Bills and account, without the clerk here, I'm not going to do minutes.
Okay.
Bills and accounts.
That's the only one.
We only have our superintendent's bill. That's the only one we have, and we have 2 ashes burials on this?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's $558. And I don't know any reason that isn't approvable, and I will present it to the other member of the board to sign so that we can move it to payment. We do have some income this month. We've got some checks that we've deposited, or either have been or will be, and for burials that we've had. We've kind of been having a few burials of late, and we got some more this week, including 3 on one day coming.
Yes.
Fortunately, they're ashes burials, so it's a little easier. But it's suddenly been very busy this week. Had one yesterday. We've had, I have scheduled a meeting with the town administrator. The new town administrator is in place and is in service now, and she's holding meetings with chairs of all the various different boards. So I've scheduled a meeting with her on Thursday morning, and I'll fill her in on a few things that we have going, most particularly our driveway projects, and that we're trying to get moved ahead, and explain to her other things about how we do things and so forth. One of the things I will talk to her about is the superintendent by contract and paid on a 1099, because I want to make sure she's aware of that and why it's that way. It's a little unusual. But we've done it all out in the open. I mean, it's all out in the open and all, but it's just a little unusual. And it does have to do with the fact that the superintendent is on call basically 24/7. And that's kind of a hard thing to fit into the regular hours and duties that the normal things in the town employees' arrangements for people working. I will also discuss whether anything else that comes up. I will talk to her about the gentleman that is willing to do some volunteer work for us in the burying ground, because there's a matter on that I want to talk about and make sure we're covering the bases that we need to there. I don't know what else. I'll try to fill her in a little bit on what's happened with the highway taking over the maintenance and stuff that we had happen a couple of years ago. Is there anything else that I should specifically address with her? Just so she's familiar with what we're doing. I'm supposedly have an hour's appointment. Now, I may well use some of that for the moderator or the trustee of trust funds or something else in town government, but that's what I've got in mind. And I'm thinking about the possibility of saying, come on, let's get in the car, we're gonna go to the 3 cemeteries and we'll talk about all these things while we're doing that. Because that'll give her some familiarity with what we're talking about when we say cemeteries. With a new person coming into the town, I actually spent a couple of hours with the previous town administrator when she first came in, and we did tours of buildings. I took her to the old town hall, the old fire station, the historical building, and so forth. And because there were issues about all those things that we had to bring up at some point, and that gave her a chance to see those, and she'd already been in place for a little while before that happened. I've only got an hour this time. I won't do all that, but I thought I might consider going to the cemeteries, just so she saw them,
See,
knows where they are and what they look like. I don't know what else, but I will try to get her familiar with kind of how we do our business and so on. At any rate, that one's coming up, I think, Thursday morning this week.
yeah,
I have not done anything about getting the D2 solution yet. I've got to get that arranged, and that's a cash in the barrelhead thing. It may be one that I'm going to have to pay for and get reimbursed on. Yeah.
did you find out anything more, like, temperature-wise and everything using it or anything, or haven't
About
you?
what?
The temperature it's at, like,
Oh,
like works,
no.
if it stops working or it doesn't,
Yeah, about storage and what we do there.
storage, and also when you're using it,
Yeah.
does it have to be a certain temperature?
Yeah. Brenna found information on that, and she's emailed it to me, but I haven't seen it, and I think that my email box might have been full when she sent it to me. So I'll try to look that up too. Some of that information may be available online. I've looked at the website on it, and I need to go back and check all of the information that's there, because she did find some more about it that might answer some of those questions. But we do want to make sure that we can store it from year to year without it. And
Becoming no
if it
good.
has to be in a place that's heated, we got to put it in a place that's heated,
It's heated, and
so that it won't. We don't want it to freeze up and go bad on us or something like that.
yeah, and plus, like I said, does it work down to 40 degrees, or does it have to be 50 or 60 degrees?
Yeah,
for it to
what
work
temperatures
right?
will it work at?
Work right, yeah.
And I think it'll probably work pretty well, but if you're talking down below 40, that's not
No,
most things that are biologically
don't work, they go to
involved
sleep.
aren't going to work very much down at that kind of a temperature. On the other hand, this is stuff you put on and let sit, and that can sit into the fall and the winter probably without being a terrible problem. The big thing is that we want to make sure if we get a big jug of it, that it's going to be usable into the following year.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I was in the burying ground this week, and I noticed there was one stone that's fallen, and I think Stephen had messed with it a little bit when he was in there, but it had been face down apparently, and it was up, and the face that had been down was clear and clean.
Yeah, for some reason, that other one that was laying down,
Yeah.
it was, you get it, and it's all cleaned off, like, once you cut the oxygen off,
Yeah.
it dies.
And the light, and the
The light.
sunlight. I don't know what's growing there, but the sunlight too. I think that's a thing. And I've had in my head the idea of wrapping those in black plastic and letting them sit for 6 months or a year, and then take it off and see if
See
it
what-
cleans them up.
Well,
I'd love to try that with one, because that would be a Great way to clean them up.
It's hot. It gets hot inside there, so.
Huh?
It gets hot in there. I mean, that's how they get rid of stuff in the greenhouses. You put bleach down and you close the fans off in the summer. It kills everything.
Yeah.
Anything that's
Yeah.
bad, they'll kill.
Yeah. So I mean, that's an idea I've had right along. Is something that we might do, and that would be might be a not too expensive way to solve this kind of problem. This is trying to clean the particularly the white marble gravestones that have a lot of apparently lichen and other growth on them that it turns them black basically over time.
Mostly it's black. I don't.
And they didn't, I went back and saw some pictures that we took 50 years ago, and which isn't that long ago for some of us.
No. No.
And they were a lot whiter then than they are now. It seems like all of them are dark now. And at that time, there were some that had dark spots on them, but they weren't all dark like they are
No.
now. So there's something that's gone on in terms of what's growing on them nowadays. That's an issue.
Could be.
I know that some use bleach on them, and a light solution of bleach, but that's not recommended.
No, not on
It's not
marble.
recommended, and of course you're putting the bleach in the ground, and
Well, one of the monuments guys, they use some kind of solution,
yeah,
but they use it as a last resort.
yeah,
Because the guys told me they try to clean them with just a pressure washer.
yeah,
And if that doesn't work, then they'll put some, but they put very little, and that's as a last resort, because
Yeah.
it can mark, and some of them too,
but
some of the new ones.
pressure washing is not recommended for the old stones.
Well, this is on the newer,
Yeah.
some of the newer stones.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if it's marble, it's gonna push the particles off.
Yeah, marble is soft,
It's soft and it'll,
and slate is very, forces on slate can
peel flakes off.
break,
Flakes.
make it flake. So you have to, pressure washing is not recommended on those old stones. At any rate, we'll go on with getting D2 solution, which is the recommended top shelf thing to do with these old stones for cleaning them. The driveway business, we're hopeful that there may be a way to get some of that going ahead this
South.
fall. The South Cemetery drives. There is to be some work done with hot top for the town, and that this might be added to that, to a contract that will cover it. So,
yeah. Fred was playing phone tag last time I talked to him,
yes,
last week, with
Yeah.
another one of the guys. It just seemed couldn't connect together.
yeah.
And so he was gonna try some more, and I haven't talked to him, so I'll have to.
I mean, it's a relatively small job as compared to road jobs and so forth, and, but we need highway to help us with it, because they prepare the.
They do the prep work.
They take out the old paving and they prepare the base for it, and, as well as helping, dealing with the contracting, because they know what they're doing with hot top. And that's also working with the administrator to get the contracts done properly. So we're still hopeful that something may happen on that this fall. And we've already attended to at least the front apron of the North Cemetery, the beginning of that road, as part of the Highland Street renewal that's being done.
But that's not gonna happen till the spring.
That's not gonna happen till spring now.
That's what, yeah, well,
Oh, that's right, I heard that, yeah.
yeah, because the timing, the guy didn't think he could get here till the end of October, and
It's gonna be too late.
too cold, and he said the same thing, and Fred didn't want to do it that late because it just doesn't,
You don't want to do it if it's not gonna last.
it's gonna set up, just too many factors.
Oh, man. And
And,
they've been working on that all this year.
well, it's been, I think, getting into accounts, and you got to coordinate stuff with the state. And
Well, getting the whole thing, all the specs for the whole job straight, getting the bids on the whole thing straight, and then awarding the bid and doing the contracts and everything. It's just it takes a while nowadays. So we've got progress on that, we hope, but we'll see. What else do we have to deal with? We would love to do some tree work if we can get it arranged, but if we can get it arranged, we'll move on with it, but we've got cash to do it with.
This is the thing Fred gave me for North with estimates.
Oh, okay.
But that's not going to be, that's something that he can make a couple copies of that. That's what he put there's two prices there. One is like a 10% escalator for the spring.
Okay.
Just an idea of what it's possibly going to cost. It could be cheap. It could be cheaper, depending on what oil does and everything.
So we could be looking at maybe $400.
$4,000.
$4,000.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But that's to go in.
That's doing 80 feet.
To go in 80 feet.
To the crest of the hill.
Oh, well, that's a lot.
And the whole mouth and everything
Yeah.
else. But that's also 2.5 inches of binder and 1.5 inches of top, which is what he's doing in the street. So that'll last for a long time.
Oh, that would last for a long time in the cemetery.
20, 25, you're gonna get 25 years out of it. The street's designed to last 20 years, and you're not gonna get the volume of traffic you are coming in there. But that's because he said, do you want it? I says, no, I want it so it's gonna last. And if you put the 2.5 inches of binder and then 1.5 inches of top, it'll last, because that's what he's doing on the road.
Well, the other thing is that this is where all the churning is going on, and the school buses turn around and all that
The
stuff.
pressure's there, and that's
the snow plows, and
that's the pulverization too,
and that means that, that's an area that gets a lot of punishment and wear.
Oh,
And so if that's done better, even if the rest of the road later is done at a lesser level, this is gonna.
the guy said, one of the contractors, that you do with that, and then he says when you get inside the cemetery where it doesn't get the traffic, a lot of people are going to they call it a chip seal, which is something like the old stone and oil jobs, I guess.
Yeah.
And he says it's about 1/3 of the cost, and you're not going to get the heavy traffic in the cemetery. And so, but that's, to me, is the better.
We'll look at that as we work on the rest of that
later
road.
date. That's just.
This would get the end of the road out near the street paved in good shape.
Yeah, and so like I said, it's to the crest of the hill,
Up to the crest of the hill,
where your
yeah.
buses are going to be backing in that far, and becomes with half of that, and they can clean it better too, and that for the buses is a safety factor.
Well, we've got $30,000 in the two articles,
Yeah.
and hopefully we could afford to do $4,000 out of that
Yeah, well,
to pay a chunk of this.
see what his time schedule is too.
Yes.
As far as when they're gonna.
Oh, yeah.
But if he gets it ready, he should be, I
Yeah.
would think, be fairly soon on the list,
That's all right.
which is fine. That's what he wants to do.
Well, we have told the town that we expect to use at least some bit of that 30,000 in the North Cemetery, so I think that's fine for us to do, to plan that. This is doable with some of the money we now have. Okay, that's driveway business for North Cemetery as well as South.
Yeah.
And that's the first 80 feet of the road in the North
main
Cemetery
driveway.
from the street, from Highland Street in. And that would give us a good base to begin on that, paving that drive. Okay.
These are, Amy helped me find these are envelopes that go inside envelopes, so when
Yeah.
I send out for
When you're
cell
selling.
grave,
Yeah.
I can stuff an envelope inside an envelope,
Yeah.
so they can, with a
Yes.
stamp on it, so they can send
Yeah.
it back. I've been trying to find something to stick inside, and I think that's what she found, and it's, for 100 of them, it's only like $17.
Oh, yeah.
And they can order it for me. They said they'd order it for me off of Amazon.
Okay. Sounds good. That'll last you a while.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. We'll see how it works, and
Yeah.
you don't want to buy.
Well, I've had to fold them up to put them in there
Yeah.
and all that. You'd like to get some that'll fit without that. And you address them back to us, so we get them back and make sure they come to the right
the
place.
stamp stuff.
Yeah, that's fine.
Center Cemetery.
Center Cemetery.
The trees they the trees they want to. The trees in the Center Cemetery.
Say that again.
The trees in the Center Cemetery.
Trees in the Center Cemetery.
With
We were contacted by a citizen of the town who was concerned about them. And we have a continuing concern about them based on our previous experience, because limbs fall off them onto the cemetery property. But the trees are, as a whole, not on the cemetery land,
not.
and therefore they're not our trees. And if we go trimming them while things are still on the trees, it can be a complicated business with the neighbors, so.
Yeah.
While we're aware that there are things that would be nice if they were different, sometimes changing them is not so simple. So we will continue to watch the trees there and see what happens, and see how much of a threat we see as dangerous for us, and act accordingly. We have talked to neighboring owners in the past, but at this point, all the owners have changed
Yes.
from the last time we would have discussed that. So there's one property that's changed by generation with somebody passing away, and the other two properties that are adjacent on that side
Have been sold.
have been sold. So it's tricky to start. Before we can do much, we have to talk to people and so forth. And as of right now, I don't know of any particular threat that we're concerned about, but we will watch that.
Yeah. Okay.
I might add that we've also had the passing of one of the owners behind the South Cemetery, and that with whom we've had a very good relationship as a neighbor, and understandings that we hope will continue, but we know that there's potential for change there too.
Yes, and I would think, I wonder, will our agreement with our well site change too?
Well, that agreement is legal and in
Okay.
the barn, so we don't have to worry about that one falling apart.
Okay, that's,
That will follow the property if it's sold.
okay, that was one of the.
But that's, yes, we had a legal agreement on our water supply and our electric connection for the pump at the South Cemetery. But that is now a legal agreement that we did about 5 years ago, and 5 or 6 years ago. And it is filed with the Registry of Deeds and so forth with an appropriate plan. So that one should not be of concern. I'm not sure if, as of our last meeting, probably the well had dried up at that point, but the water supply there is largely surface water in a nearby swamp. And we found that there was no water available in the cemetery, and the pump was running, and so it was shut off. And because of the extremely dry weather, we apparently had no water supply. So at this point, it's still shut off. I'm not yet assured that we've got our water supply back. I think that we will be watching it as we have more rain, and when we see enough water in that area, we'll consider restarting the electric pump. But as of right now,
It's
we've
off.
got it all shut off because of the lack of water in the water supply. It's water that's provided so people have it to use for their plants in the cemetery, and we want to provide that service. But if the well's dry, it's dry.
Yep.
In the North Cemetery this year, we've had a large water tank there, which the Highway Department put in there for us, and that's worked out quite well. They've filled it 3 or 4 times, and people seem to be using the water from it, and it's helping folks, and that's good. We do have a nice artesian well we drilled up there, about 15 or 20 years ago, and which we have not used because we haven't had the funds to put it in service with a pump. But this big tank has worked out pretty well this summer.
Yeah, it has.
And with the help of Highway on that's been very good, and people have been able to use it to get water for their plants. The summer was very dry, and both the North and South cemeteries were extremely dry. They've started to green up again since we've had some rain, but that was really in tough shape. But it also reduced the amount of maintenance for a little while.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's in the areas where the sun could really shine on the ground, it was dried very out. What else do we have for issues, do you know?
Well, I'm gonna look at some of the shrubs at South
Oh, yeah,
and get some of those taken.
there are more shrubs to take out, and somebody from Highway talked to me in the spring, and they'd be more than happy to take them out and have them out of the way, so
Well,
we can,
decide which ones that can
We're gonna
come and
decide.
go, not,
we're gonna decide what needs to be done. We don't like to take out shrubs for people that maintain them. If we know somebody comes and trims them and maintains them, we don't want to mess with them. But if there's no one maintaining them, and they're overgrown and in the way, and even over other people's graves, yes, we need to take them out. And some some have been taken out this year, and there are some more cases that we are considering in terms of getting that done. It's unfair to the neighbors if they're
well,
encroaching on other people's
they tell
plots.
them, Alan Dahl told me, they tell them in Woodland, you can put it in, but once it goes over your thing, the person don't like it next to it, they can hack it off, so
It's gone.
it's gone.
Yeah,
Neighbor can, they had that actually happened up at North.
yeah,
Somebody hacked it off.
yeah. Well, it's really, these shrubs in the cemetery that overgrow are really not a good choice. And we recommend that people, if they're putting in permanent plantings, we recommend even things like lilies and so forth that die back to the ground every year. And therefore, they don't get, they may spread some, but they don't produce the same problems that the shrubs do. The shrubs really are a terrible mess, and we've had several people that have asked to have them removed too, themselves, the owners. So that will be another thing that we will look at in the off season. And as I said, there's still trees in South Cemetery we'd like to get. We've got some branches that overhang our shed there, and we've got at least one whole tree that's dead in that area. And then we have at least one of the deciduous trees in the cemetery itself that we've been had on our list to be removed at such time as it can be done. Highway Department now has a new bucket truck, which will be in service shortly, and that may be of some aid in dealing with some of these matters.
That's what I had.
You think we're done?
I think so. That's what I had.
That's what you have. And I think that's what I have, and I've already talked about the other consultations coming up, so. Motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Second?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.